is for one reason. I get so much racism and so much vile abuse and, death, rape threats, etc., that hasn't really fazed me. I mean, of course, if it's a death or rape threat, I'll get in touch with the police. But the racism and the racial abuse doesn't faze me. But the turf abuse was that disgusting, that vile. I contemplated, like, I've just got to come off social media for the rest of my life. I can't cope.
Well,
that's how disgusting they were. And I was shocked. I thought, this is women coming at me.
Hi, Narinder. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, it's good to catch up with you. You know what? I've been dying to do this conversation
it's been such a long time coming.
I know, yeah, because we couldn't get to synchronise with each other, could we? But we've managed to do it now.
No, we've done it.
So, first of all, I wanted to... The reason I sort of got talking to you and got... the reason I suppose I approached you is because I noticed something very interesting happening, and it was that when you posted favourably about trans rights or trans issues or whatever it was, I think you were just saying, why don't we just calm down on this for fuck's sake, and you got a massive pile on, like, straight away. So can you just tell me, like, what was it like? It must have been awful, but did you notice anything different about it that was...
I think for me, I mean, since Big Brother, and you look at it 24 years ago, that I've always been for gay rights, lesbian rights, etc. So for me, it was a natural progression to be for trans rights, just for humans, just for anyone marginalised in the community. It goes without saying. And because I'm marginalised from a marginalised community, so I know how it feels. I always remember that was one of the first lines me and Brian said to each other. He goes, "Oh my God," he goes, "I'm the only gay in here." I said, "Well, I'm the only Indian in here, or brown person, or coloured person." And then that was it. We were, we united in that. And so on Twitter, I've often stuck up for trans rights, gay rights, etc. And then because obviously there was a lot of kind of heat on me because of going on TV and talk about controversial issues, well, not controversial, just normal issues. At the minute I said something, and I can't remember which tweet it was, to be honest, and because I'm always in trouble with my tweets, but there was one in particular I stood up for trans rights, and the pylon was horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember not sleeping that night. I remember it was 2-3 in the morning and it wouldn't stop, and it was from Terfs, or whatever. I don't even know who they are, what they are,
well,
what they're...
I mean, TERF means trans exclusionary radical feminists, and that term has a bit of a pedigree in feminism, but it doesn't really mean that anymore. They are trans exclusionary, but they don't seem to follow any feminist principles.
Okay. So well, what I've noticed, because I'm a bit ignorant to which group is which group, and these feminists, etc. And I soon had a very quick lesson, but they were so vicious, so awful, that I contemplated just coming straight off social media. And now that's the reason why that's quite a significant comment for me to say, is for one reason. I get so much racism and so much vile abuse and, death, rape threats, etc., that hasn't really fazed me. I mean, of course, if it's a death or rape threat, I'll get in touch with the police. But the racism and the racial abuse doesn't faze me. But the turf abuse was that disgusting, that vile. I contemplated, like, I've just got to come off social media for the rest of my life. I can't cope. Well, that's how disgusting they were. And I was shocked. I thought, this is women coming at me.
Well, this is the thing. It isn't feminism. And the focus, when anybody who's prominent in the media, like, they'll know you've been on TV, they know you've got a voice they know you're friends with people like Piers. Well, I don't know if you're friends, but you definitely have been on those programs. They find that really threatening. So Kirsty Allsop did it, most recently Dana Hodges. Right. And the reason they attack those people is because they're not they don't see them as the kind of left wing who would normally do it. They see that, because what normally happens when somebody does have a position in the media or are on the roster of programs like Jeremy Vine or Piers Morgan or Good Morning Britain, whatever it is, they don't stick their neck out, because they know that if they say certain things, they could jeopardize their next media appearance or their advertising, or if they're they're involved with any product placement or anything like that. So it can be. So what the thing I like about you is you don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't know.
But the thing is, though, Freda, I wish I did, because I got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for my husband, I do get kind of, my TV stuff gets cancelled sometimes, because I can't live in the world, and I can't sleep at night knowing I didn't stick up for the right thing, because actually integrity matters. And if you're more bothered about your, like you said, advertising deal, your next TV appearance, then actually your opinion means nothing to me, because you're sat on that fence, and sat on that fence doesn't do anything, and doesn't help anyone, doesn't help any minority, doesn't help anyone being bullied. And if you're about that, then I can't be that. I have to stick up for the underdog.
Yeah, so what I noticed, like during the Olympics last year, is there was all the controversy about the boxer Amani Khalif.
Yeah.
And you noticed this, and obviously, you know, there's this thing about trans women in sport had been a thing around for a bit, but the thing was, Amani Khalif wasn't trans. And I think there was a racist element to the story as well. And I think you noticed that.
Yeah, 100%. Because she was from, where was she from?
Algeria.
Where's her? Yeah, that's it. She was Algerian, correct. So I do think that was... look, trans are going to get it anyway, but she wasn't trans. The problem here was they thought she was, so there's a little bit of misinformation. Then on top of it, she wasn't British or white. So that they were going for even more. So you had like double-barreled hate. And it was just unbelievable, the hate that poor woman got. It was unbelievable, the levels it got to.
Well, that's why she's still in the process of suing J.K. Rowling.
Good for her.
But
I hope that happens.
But the thing is, the problem is, a lot of J.K. Rowling supporters, they think it's to do with the gender. They think it's because they need to know if she's male or female, but it wouldn't matter. The problem is that they've orchestrated a prolonged attack on somebody and singled them out because they did. Do you remember the story about Emmanuel Macron's wife? And there were people saying... Well,
that's still going on, because Candace Owens, she's doing a whole documentary that the wife is a man. So, and she's not, and I don't know if she's going to get sued. I haven't got a clue. She doesn't seem scared. She doesn't seem worried. And it's a whole documentary on that.
Yeah, but still, the point is, it doesn't matter if this person is a man or a woman. The point is, somebody is drawing unnecessary attention to somebody based on something they believe about somebody. It's like the thing with going back to, you know, we were talking about Lawrence Fox. It doesn't see the thing with that, and I do want to talk about that, is it doesn't matter what's in the image. What matters is the motivation of the people that want to sort of humiliate you.
I see what you mean. Yes, of course.
And we can say, "Oh, I don't care about the image." You know, I don't actually care. But that's not.
I care about the image, firstly.
But
of course I know what you're saying. But with law, not that the. You know, the CPS haven't done anything, the police haven't done anything. Motivation is what carries the charge. So we need to know what the motivation was. So you're right. What was your motivation behind, attacking these people? What is your motivation? And their motivation is to just draw hate.
Yeah, but the thing is with anything in the media, it's like they will always say, "Oh well, she's milking it. She loves the attention. She actually enjoys." And it's like it's the same thing as when somebody says she's asking for it.
I was literally about to say that. You literally took it out of my mouth. She wore a short skirt. She was asking for it. Ukraine were asking to be invaded by Putin. Yeah. They were asking for it. It's the same mentality.
It is. And this is the thing that happens to trans women a lot online, is they'll try and find pictures of us, you know, where we were pre-transition. Like when I started to get into the media and
you've had a lot of hate and I've never understood where or what. And it just seems...
It's simply because I don't care, and I will speak out, and I'll go on Piers Morgan, I'll go on, GBnews. And whenever I do that, what they'll do is they'll clip the video, you know, where you've got your mouth half open and you look a bit...
Oh, yeah, they get that me all the time. You're blinking halfway, your mouth open, and make you look despicable.
Yeah, that's it, because the method they're using is to it's a witch trial basically, and the thing is to demonize you, sexualize you, dehumanize, and the way they do
make
it,
you look ugly, make you look like like you're like some evil witch. But I like to think that a lot of the public can see through that. Because and I see when they do it with other people, I think, oh, you've just used a terrible image of that person. You've just used an image that makes them look like a whale, or made them look like really sinister, and we can see what you're doing here.
Exactly, but you see, it's happened to women in the media for such a long time that we almost take it for granted. It's almost like, oh, well, that's just the way the British press are. If you want to be famous, you've got to sort of have pictures taken in a bikini, and then when you complain about it, they'll say, well, how dare you? You know, no, it's like you have a right to say, look, this has gone too far. And I think with that Lawrence Fox sharing the image of you getting out the cab, I think that was just a line that most decent people, even if they, you know, don't notice it normally, will say, well, why, who needs to see a picture like that anyway?
Well, and I think he did get a lot of backlash for that. Well, he did. And I think with people like that, what they do is they want to silence you. And the only way to silence you is to humiliate you with us women. So they want to humiliate us and find the most despicable photographs, most disgusting photographs, and think, right, we're going to silence you. And obviously didn't silence me. Things like that kind of gave me up more and fired me up more. But their method is tried and tested and works for most people, where let's humiliate her into silence, and because we don't like how much traction she's getting, we don't like her voice, and we don't like the message she's counteracting, our good job we're doing here. They'll find anything like that photo, and Lawrence Fox uses a big platform, 500,000 followers or whatever he's on now, and job done. Actually, to this day, Freda, every tweet I put out, they will tweet me something about that or that picture to date.
There's one thing I really want to bring up here, and I think it's really important, is, do you remember, it might be longer than a year ago now, there's a journalist called Eva Santina, and she had a problem. When Lawrence Fox
sorry, what's her name? Say that again.
Eva Santina.
Eva. Yeah.
Well, the difference was huge. Like,
I think with the whole Eva Santini thing, he said something on GBnews like, because she'd said some awful stuff about him. Had I said that stuff, I would have been cancelled. That's the first thing. Second, she said some awful stuff about males. I think it was male mental health. I can't remember. So he came back with, she poked the bear, and he came back with, well, I wouldn't shag her anyway. Now, that went like all over Europe. She was on every TV channel, and it was poor Ava, which it was, even I said, gosh, that's awful for a woman to hear that. But he's published a picture of my private, and it didn't really scratch the surface. It got into it did get into the papers, don't get me wrong, because obviously the police, I reported it, that was it. And ever since then, that's it. I've only been able to report, and they've done nothing anyway. But it did not, I didn't get the sympathy Ava did at all. I got the blame, actually. It was your fault. You're the one who, you're the one who went out like that. You're the one who purposely did it. You're the one who you wore a short skirt kind of attitude. I got blamed. Ava didn't get blamed. So if that had been, and I do think, and I'm glad you said it, I didn't even get into, because I was so shocked by what happened. Hang on a minute, you all gave Ava so much sympathy, and it went all over Europe and all over the world. But with me, I was blamed. Why is that? Why? Now, we're both women. Is it because she's white and it was poor Ava, and it was Narinder, or she's brown, whatever she is, Pakistani, we don't give a shit, she deserved it. I didn't even get into that angle, because I couldn't cope with the angle that we're already at. But I did feel that so strongly.
Yeah, have you heard of the phrase white women's tears?
Yes, it was exactly that. It was exactly that. Whereas if you're a brown or black woman...
But this is not me saying that she had no right to complain. Obviously, she was absolutely she was absolutely right to call out the misogyny. Yeah. But it's like the reason there is more sympathy for Eva, and this isn't me criticising her for making it public and making a scene out of it, making it a story, but there are lots of women this happens to, and lots of trans women this happens to, and it's exactly the same energy. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you won't get the sympathy, they won't get the sympathy.
Yeah. So what happens with the J.K. Rowling is she's complicit in encouraging people that do that kind of thing. And she follows these kind of gimmick accounts that target trans people and try and demonize us and make us out to be, just perverts and sexualize us, and that's it. And Rowling seems to actively enjoy that, whereas nobody's calling her out on that, because they still think, because Rowling is saying all this stuff about women's rights, that she must be the feminist. So the whole thing is completely upside down, because I
think with J.K. Rowling, with not as much detailed expertise as yourself, where I don't understand where she comes from is, where has this so much hate come from? When has a trans woman, what have they done to you, J.K. Rowling, for you to have this much hate? What have they done to you? Why are you targeting them so much? They are minuscule in population, but yet you target them. I'd rather have J.K. Rowling on brown and black women's side, fighting our cause, or just women's side. But she will argue that. She'll say, well, I am fighting for black and brown and white women. I'm fighting for your safe space. But I've never been in a situation where I felt unsafe with my trans sisters or gays or anything with toilets. I've only ever felt unsafe from cis men. Men. That's the only people I've ever felt unsafe from.
The thing is with that is, it's not even about men. It's boys are not born abusers. Boys are not born rapists or sexual predators or misogynists. They learn it. And certain behaviours in society, like what we see with Lawrence Fox, are rewarded. Lawrence Fox isn't punished by the media. He's boosted. Yeah. Andrew Tate isn't punished by the media. He's lauded as some kind of figure that people should be looking at. And because of that, weaker men that sort of aspire to be that outspoken or wish they had that kind of play, will enact the behaviours of those men, because there is no visible punishment for them. So it's not a man.
Well, they would argue they are being punished, because they're the ones that argue about being cancelled for no reason.
They are the eternal victims,
Lawrence Fox is constantly, he's the eternal victim. Calvin Robinson has just set up another GoFundMe account for, doing this, copying Elon Musk's far right-wing Nazi salute. Yeah. And he copied it, and now suddenly he's the victim.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you have all this stuff about Tommy Robinson as if we're supposed to feel sorry for him because he's in prison.
And they do. They actually do feel sorry for him. It's shocking.
But it's like the little boy is, he didn't know what he was doing, the poor lad. Oh no, maybe his mummy didn't tell him off as much enough when he was. It's like, no, we tell these stories about boys and men that infantilize them, so they have no responsibility in society. So they can then say, this is boys being boys. I mean, Tommy Robinson and Andrew Tate and Lawrence Fox are probably very extreme examples, but these are the extreme tip of a very big iceberg, you know what I mean? Yeah, so when it comes to trans women, it suits the narrative, it suits the dominant narrative to scapegoat and say, let's not look at men because that'd be too complicated. They're our husbands. Let's blame some people that we're never going to meet.
Very true.
We're never going to meet these people. We see them on social media looking freakish, and we can demonize them, but we don't want to talk about men because they're our brothers and our husbands and our sons.
Yeah, very true.
And if there's one thing a mother will never do, is call out a son. Well, she might do if she's a responsible mother, but most mothers won't.
I actually do. If I think even my son teeters on it, I'm like, I rein him in.
You're a good mother, but you see, mothers will forgive abhorrent things because they will blame the woman more sooner than it's the same thing when men are.
Well, that's the same in every culture, I've got to say. I mean, I have to be honest here. In the Punjabi culture, that's a huge problem, is the misogyny, and Punjabi mums just forgiving all their sons for it. It's a huge problem, and it carries on. It's almost like it's a, I don't know, it's generational curse that does not get broken down. Even in my generation, it's still there.
Well, there's this thing all the time going on with, have you heard of India Willoughby?
Yes, and of course I have. I follow her.
India Willoughby is probably the most well-known trans woman in the country, and she has. If anybody's been cancelled, it is India, because she was on Loose Women, she was on GBnews occasionally. She used to be.
Why did she get cancelled then? Because I saw something of hers recently that she was on all of them, and I didn't know she was on all of them. Why was she cancelled?
I don't know if cancelled is the right word or what, but they just don't. They just don't want to hear from her because she. For whatever reason, I don't know what. she may not want to do that thing anymore. I would not blame her.
Yeah, so we don't know if she was cancelled. I think it was more of a phasing out, because I think the TV channel's got a bit of a backlash, and something. I think there was something like that, and I don't know whether, because was she an actual loose woman? Because then it's like, hang on a minute, you've taken this. Like, for example, I've been dying to get on Loose Women for.
Oh no, she was a guest.
Big Brother,
I think.
She was a guest.
I think she was a newsreader on Channel 5 for a bit, and I don't know.
Wow.
See, I disagree with India on a few things. You know, just because we're trans doesn't mean we agree on anything.
Yeah, of course.
But we do get the same. We get the hate from the same kind of angles, and it's an organised thing. It's not like a random people that somebody random in the street might take exception to me. I could probably deal with that. It's just it's just the fact that it's a top-down kind of organising of hate, and and so that you've noticed that. I mean, even somebody as ineffectual, somebody who is as uncontroversial as Kirsty Allsop, do you know what I mean, came into the line of fire for basically saying, do we have to talk about this all the time?
True. And she got a backlash, and you're right, she's not a controversial person, but look at the hatred she got. It was unbelievable. It's like, why you shouldn't try and silence people. Like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, I'm just scrolling through your Twitter at the moment, because your tweets are like legendary, and I think some
the
of
thing is, I get a little bit upset, because I've even had somebody say to me recently, "Oh, will you just clickbait?" I've had somebody in TV say that to me, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, when you're followed by the far right, I could say the sky's blue, the grass is green, and I'm gonna get trolled to death for saying just that." And of course, I admit sometimes I put up a few tweets out there, because I think if you're going to follow me, you're going to abuse me for putting out a normal tweet, and then I'm going to put out stuff just to wind you up. I don't care. Certainly not to make money. £8.75 a month. I'm losing, actually. But yeah, I will put out tweets. And this is the other thing. A lot of people say it's controversial clickbait on purpose, and that actually shocks me, because I think if you think me saying don't pick on trans women, or oh, hang on a minute, this is a bit racist, if that's controversial to you, then F off. I don't want you in my life or need to know you. Because if you think me sticking up for black and brown people and having a go at Tommy Robinson's controversial, what is wrong with you?
Well,
and if you think me sticking up for just another human, whether it's trans, whether it's this person, and that's controversial, that says a lot more about you than me. That doesn't make me controversial, it makes me normal.
The thing is, right, in Europe right now, the dominant the dominant xenophobia is Islamophobia. It is not anti-Semitism in the same way, because the thing is, anti-Semitism is always there. It's always there. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that those people are still there. But the thing is, in the media, especially in the British media, and especially the way that social media is manipulated by people like Elon Musk, the main there's two things. There's two main phobias: Islamophobia and transphobia, and the two things intersect perfectly, because they're two words that the people like Carl Benjamin, people like Douglas Murray, people like that want to pretend don't exist, because they'll say, "What is it's not a religion. You can't be Islam. We should be allowed to criticize Islam. We should be allowed to say trans women are men." But my argument is, why do you need to do that? Why is it the people that cry about free speech are always the ones that want to make this point? So this brings me around to something, actually, because you were on Carl Benjamin's YouTube channel, and I was really surprised you did that, actually. And I think a couple of my friends. So you I think you're really brave to do it, and I think you came across like because these people, they're not stupid people. They're people that read history. They're people that have backup.
They know. They know their stuff. Yeah,
they know.
I think so many people were shocked I did that. Yeah. And I'm not one to shy away from talking to the far right, because, they'll often be, you never have the guts to come on. I was like, yeah, I guess I do. I'm a Geordie more than anything. I'm a Geordie, and we don't shy away from anything. And I knew I could hold my own. I mean, they go on and on about the stats. I don't care. I want to normalise not being great at maths. I don't really care. And also, I was on there for 3 hours. That's a long time. You're going to catch someone. For normal people, you'd be caught out at least half a dozen times, but they didn't catch me out on anything. And they were actually, as far as they were gentlemanly. I'm I'm not going to lie. They picked me up from the station, dropped me off. They were kind enough.
Well,
I'm not going to lie. They were okay.
They're what I call delightful bastards.
Yes, maybe. Yes, actually, that's the best way to put it. Carl Benjamin was a delightful, whatever he was. We talked a lot more off camera, and we had a lot more in common, as is always with any panelist off camera.
Yeah, you've got to be realistic when you're talking to people in the media, because I've been in media situations across from somebody that I know would throw me under a bus to get what they want.
Correct.
And it doesn't mean in that moment I can't address them in a polite way. It's just I'm looking them in the eye and I'm going, I am the thing you want to erase, and you can't burn this witch. You want to burn this witch, but you can't burn this witch. And that is
exactly. I'll remember that next time I'm on. That's a good one.
Yeah, because that's all, I mean, in terms of Terfs talk about this a lot, about we are the witches you couldn't burn or something. But if you think about what a witch trial is an organised top-down demonisation of somebody, where they need a mob to scapegoat somebody and point at them and say that we are the good people, that person is the bad person. And that is really addictive on social media, because it makes very insecure people feel powerful, because not only do they have somebody that is saying, actually, all those things you feel, all those insecurities you have, they're okay, but not only are they okay, we have the reasons why they're right, and we have the answer to your problems. And that is the danger.
Exactly
that is so dangerous. And that's why I think that's why we're politically where we're at now. And I'm really disappointed by some people in the media. Sorry for going off on a bit of a rant now, but Ash Shakar did a video.
Yes.
She's come out and said woke. She's come out and said woke is dead right now. So I haven't. No, just to be clear, I haven't watched.
I've watched a few of it. I've watched a couple, and I think I know where you're going to go, because I felt the same. But carry on.
I'd not watched it yet, but you see, I'm somebody that has watched Novara Media things and I find them very infuriating to listen to, as somebody who is a northern person. I didn't.
Oh, do you? Why? Because I listened for the first time for 2 nights in a row,
because to me all struggles are class struggles, and I don't believe people like Politics Joe, people like The Rest is Politics, people like Novara Media. They don't. They say nothing to me about my life.
And guess what? That's exactly what I felt. I watched that Navarro, and then he did this whole interview. I forget his name. What's his name again?
Aaron Bastani.
That's it. So, and then I started following on to it. Don't get me wrong, they're very intelligent people. That can't be taken away. But I listened to that whole thing. I think I got 40 minutes in.
Narinder,
but no, let me finish. Let me finish.
Go on.
And I just thought, I don't relate to you. I cannot listen to you. You're snobs. You seem, I don't know what class you're at, but I don't relate to you. My life is not the same as this life that you're talking about. Yes, I want to be on your side. Yes, I'm left. Yes, I'm scared of the far right. But I don't relate to anything you're saying for some reason. And I can't figure out why.
It's because they are disconnected from the reality of racism that you would have felt as a child or growing up.
Correct.
I'm being careful here, because I don't know what racism Ash Shakar has suffered. I'm speaking generally about when these podcasts are presented in this way, of like an organisation where they're a media organisation. They're all flawed from the start simply by trying to be that. And I'm critical of anything that says, like, it presents itself as the answer, like we're going to find the answers to this, and we are going to discover, like, we are the righteous voice, and anything like that. I'm like, no.
They definitely come across as righteous. That's a word. And look, I'm not saying, like you said, you haven't listened to their videos. Have a listen to the Ash Sarkar interview, and she is so, oh God, she's so bright. But it goes off onto tangents, and it's very, I don't know. And I actually don't know what point she was trying to make. I think what she was trying to say was the right are winning because they all kind of stick together. But the bottom line was they're winning because they're funded by billionaires. That's all.
Well, the thing is, the problem with the left is it's got no unifying organisation, principle anymore.
That's it.
So what you see, when you I mean, we're going off on a bit of a tangent now, but I would take it back to Jeremy Corbyn and the absolute venom through which they had to demonise him for standing for Palestine back in 10 years ago. And if you look at, he's actually been proved right. And it's not that he was proved right.
Jeremy Corbyn is the biggest miscarriage of justice the history of Britain, because that man should have been Prime Minister, and he's been proven right. But guess what? Justice hasn't prevailed because he still isn't in number 10.
See, this is where I will also say I don't think Jeremy Corbyn is the answer to anything, because the reason I think that is because I don't believe that Jeremy Corbyn was racist or actively anti-Semitic, but he was so blind to some very obvious things that it put him in a position that was untenable. And that is the reality. It's not that he was innocent. It's not that he didn't.
You're right. It's very hard to be. It's very easy to get blinded because we're human. We're human.
You've got to have an equal mix of awareness and strength, which I don't think Corbyn. He has good ideas, and he's.
Come on! Are you trying to tell me Boris Johnson had that? You're trying to tell me Liz Truss had that?
No, exactly.
They're way worse.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is with that. The thing is with Boris Johnson, it was like there were people so frightened of a Jeremy Corbyn government that they would literally vote for a clown instead.
Yeah.
And you saw the same thing with Bernie Sanders and Trump in back 2016. I think that's the same, about the same.
Where did you was going to say about Ash Sarkar? You were upset because she said woke is dead.
Yeah, I'm not upset.
So let's go back to that.
But you see, my thing is, like, there are trans women on my side of the argument that have said, look, we've got to be more conservative so we get in the media and people can accept us. There are a couple of trans women that I know. I said, no, I will never ever stop being a problem to them people, because one of the most well-known Terfs, called Helen Joyce, she famously said that trans people are a problem to a sane world. And I said, well, you're going to have to eliminate a lot of people before you get to your sane world, and that's a very dark path to go down. So I'll say I am that problem. I will always be that problem. But I have this I have this thing that I do, like when I do performances, and it's called extreme wokeness, because I believe if you're going to be woke, take it back to where it comes from. It's that idea of being woke to, it comes out of Afro-American cultures, being woke to social justice, injustice. Right. So I'm saying, no, be extremely fucking woke, because that is the only way you will.
That reminds me. Well, that does remind me of back in the day when my parents came over to this country, or grandparents, I should say. I remember as a child, 8, 9, 10 years old, always being told, just keep your head down. This is their country. Yeah. And to be accepted, just keep yourself, as you used, as a really conservative. Don't make a noise. And my parents always used to say, I mean, they definitely wouldn't be proud of me now, because I'm the opposite of don't make a noise, keep your head down, it's their country, respect it. But I used to say, hang on a minute, but I was born here. I'm entitled to have a voice and to make a fucking noise. Exactly. Sorry, I don't know if I could say that. But why can't I make a noise? My friends, Lynn, Heather, Catherine, they're all making noise, but I've got to keep quiet. It didn't make sense to me. Why?
Well, it's also a misogyny as well. I mean, girls, when they're loud, are seen as a problem because they disrupt the order of things. Whereas when boys are noisy, they are less likely to be told to shut the fuck up, because it's and there are just too many men in the world that are just not being told to shut the fuck up. That's the problem. That's one of the main problems we have.
I know, they're actually never told to shut the fuck up. Big mouth. I'm yet to see a male guy a male panelist being told to shut the F up. I rarely see it.
I mean, it's like the media is full of mediocre men, where a woman has had to work twice as hard. And
tell me about it. You know what I always say to people? I came out of Big Brother 24 years ago, and guess what? I've had to jump through that many hoops of fire, and I'm still only a TV panelist. Like 25 years in TV, and I'm still just getting a TV gig 6 times a year. That's embarrassing. Yeah. Surely, with 25 years, I should have my own show. The question begs, why don't you? Because other people would argue, well, because you're just a bit of a loudmouth.
I mean, there's probably lots of factors why certain people succeed and certain people get big jobs and stuff. But I think if you were, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I quite like Bushra, and I know a lot of people criticise her, but I think I think deep down, like when you think about what she's, she's putting herself in a line of fire. But I think she does say things that I think, oh, that's a bit, you know what I mean? Like, I think, why...
I love Bushra. We work together and we kind of WhatsApp each other in support occasionally when, we've really got, and she'll sometimes go against what I've said, and I don't really like that, but that's between me and her. But Bushra's we're on the same, I don't fight with Bushra. I try not to publicly because we're on the same, we're on the same team. And she's got the added, because she's Muslim, although they don't know I'm not, they still think I am Muslim. Well, they're so thick and they're educated. So they think I'm Muslim. So I think, well, I might as well fight this battle. But Bushra puts herself out there. She's very articulate. She's very intelligent.
I think I just better mention who Bushra is because I just assume people listening know. But Bushra is somebody that's been on GBnews, and she had a bit of a she was very conservative. It was
because she was she got accused of the whole homophobia. That was what happened with Bushra.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why I came heavy on, and I came down heavy, and I wish I hadn't now, because when I've looked.
Well, no, she did say that stuff, so it's fine you did, but then I think she's I can't remember now what's going on with that.
There are certain people though that I've probably had a bit of a ding dong with on Twitter, and I regret it later because I think, oh, you're not that bad.
I think I guess, and I think there's lots of profile people on Twitter that say things that. I'm the worst for it. I'll be like, oh shit, why did I tweet that? I've done that loads of times.
I just wish some people would afford me the same thing, because when people come for me, they don't say, oh, well, maybe she has something worthwhile to listen to. They just go, that's a tranny, I hate her, and that's it. They'll just call me he and Fred and anything they can.
You want to go on Blue Sky? I
am on Blue Sky, but.
That's just a lot nicer. It's like a different world.
The problem with Blue Sky is it's just not got the same traction of. I'm not even on X now because I had a big account. I had like nearly 5,000 followers, and I just said the wrong thing to J.K. Rowling, and I got mass reported. So I told her to delete.
I think with Blue Sky, it is a case of that everyone's on your side there, so you're not really arguing anything. So it feels like, well, you're just putting that, which is great. I mean, no one's arguing, you're not getting trolled, but you're learning a lot on there, but you are not going to get the traction because the traction comes from people opposing your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on those shows that I've been on, like James Whale. And I think they're not intelligent shows, are they really? They're there just to create a few social media.
Absolutely. That is clickbait. James Whale's show is clickbait.
Yeah, but I like James because, you know what, I've got to mention this because James, this is how I start. I listened to the radio when I was a kid, and I must have been.
I remember James Whale. I went on James Whale show 25 years ago when I first came out the house.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember listening to him, and he would always stick up for gay people, and if it was any religious people on that were like, no, you got, people that say things like,
I don't know why he changed. He stuck up for me when I came out of Big Brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the media organisation he's a part of, I suppose. Because Talktv is very, it's very Tory, isn't it? And whatever. I mean, it's very reform now.
It's reform. I wouldn't say it's Tory. It's 100% reform.
Yeah, would you say that? I mean, I think
I'd say it's far right. I'd say talk is far right. It's definitely on the right. Maybe not the far right, but it's definitely on the right.
Well, they're getting there.
That level. Yeah.
But because I've been criticised by other people who say, well, why are you going on those shows? Because they'll associate GBnews and Talktv.
Well, I just had that today on Twitter because I said, Marks and Spencer's up on advertising on GBnews, and all I've had all day is you're on GBnews. I'm not paying GBnews. GBnews paid me to counter their argument. So when you go and talk, you're countering their argument. You're countering the hate towards trans people. You're not going there to promote them.
That's true. I mean, sometimes though, like if I get the opportunity to challenge somebody like directly, that's probably the only time I'm going to be like little old me in Bolton. I can't travel to London and be around media people all the time. So if a producer rings me and said, "Would you like to be part of this show?" I say, "Yeah," because it's the only time. If I can get,
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm
You're
pretty,
chuffed that you're chuffed that that platform was there
yeah.
for someone with your voice from where you are, where you've come from, working class roots. It's like, yeah, damn right, I'll go on there and talk about my opinions. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like, you're
exactly.
not at that, I always remember what Yasmin Ali Brown said to me once. She's the panelist that goes on Jeremy Vine, etc., etc. Very established journalist and very left wing. And she said, I'd never go on GB News. She goes, but I don't mind that you do. She goes, you're starting your career, so get your voice heard. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really lovely of her to say and very obliging and not judging.
The thing I
Like, she
like,
was so unjudging me. And I
yeah.
like that.
The thing I like about you, though, as well, is you will go on the street and you will join protests. I mean, I know you,
Exactly. I put my money where my mouth
and a
is.
lot of these people would never do that. I mean, the only time I'd ever see, like, I mean, I don't know what people do behind closed doors, whatever they do. They don't always publicise what they
Yeah.
do. But just that you go out there and you're seen at protests and stuff. I think
Yes.
that's to have somebody that is prominent in the media that goes on something
Yeah,
like
I
Jeremy
will
Vine.
do. I do on all of them. I've gone on all them protests,
Yeah.
all of them.
I mean,
Because that comes back to my integrity. And that's why when somebody in TV said, oh, well, you only tweet for the sake of it, that really hurt me because I don't do that. I actually get involved. I mean what I say. So if you find one of my tweets abhorrent, I mean it. I'm sorry. I put my money where my mouth is and I join in those protests. It was freezing cold on the last one. I froze to death, but I stood there for 6 hours.
yeah, that's great. I mean, sometimes they can be really dangerous as well because I've been
Yeah,
in.
and exactly the same time as the Tommy Robinson ones. And some of the Tommy Robinson lot come into the crowd of the anti-Tommy Robinsons ones. And I'm a target because I'm known. And
Yeah.
I've been a target and we've had the police involved. So I put myself out there.
Well, I was going to say, when I've had to report things, when people have targeted me, and I have reported things to the police, they'll say, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't be so visible." And I was like, "What?
Oh,
What
really? Have they said that?
should
Oh,
I
wow.
like stay off social media?" Seems to be their answer, and it's like, "Well, no,
Well,
I'm
that
not."
sounds like that sounds like you got in touch with the Indian police. That's what my Indian community say to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you should just come off it then and be quiet.
yeah, exactly.
You wore a short skirt. It's that mentality again.
Well, I mean, you just can't win with these people anyway. But there's another thing I
What?
wanted before we wrap up. There's something I really want to
Yes.
talk about, and it's that you have controversially made comments about Kate Middleton, right? And I know,
No, yeah, we need to talk about Kate
and
Middleton.
and
I
and
love
I
that you
know.
brought it up.
I know that you have nothing against Kate Middleton. Because none of us really know Kate Middleton, right? But what we notice is that the people that go on and on about Meghan Markle all the time, she only has to do the slightest thing wrong. She only has to cross the road at the wrong place or wear the wrong dress. The same people that will criticise her endlessly. As soon as you said, "Oh, she looks a bit old," they were like, "Oh my god, it was like 3 days of violence."
Oh, you know what? It was the biggest overreaction I've ever known of social media ever in the history of social media.
Yeah.
And I'll tell, like, people say, oh, you're doubling down, you're doubling down. Okay, there's a lot to say about it. There's so much to unravel in this and unpack and look at. What I'm going to say is I don't regret that tweet because if anybody who knows and loves me, and this is where the problem comes, because people on Twitter don't know and love me, but the people who do know and love me know that I always go on about smoking and aging. Always. It's been a big thing of mine. My husband used to smoke, and I always used to say, you've got wrinkles, it's age you. Then he stopped smoking, and I started. So anybody who knows me knows that I didn't mean it maliciously.
Yeah.
Secondly, I do admit it was probably a bit bitchy thing to say, but I've seen a lot of people saying it already. So it's not as if I just said it. So lots of people saying
but
I think what she does a bit.
Narinder, you've got to remember, you're a British Asian woman as far as they're concerned. You know?
So I think the biggest problem was, and I tried to say this to the TV channels, all decided to cancel me. The problem I said that you lot aren't looking at is not because I said it, because plenty of women have said it over on TikTok everywhere. I said it's because I'm Indian, I'm British Asian, and that was and the third problem. I said it on Remembrance Sunday. oh, well, I was going to get it then. That was it. And that's my own fault. It's not as if someone got it, made me tweet that. That's my own fault for doing all that. I take full responsibility. I'm 52-year-old. But what I will not take responsibility is those same people say the most hideous things about Meghan Markle, and it's okay. And some might say, well, it's not okay to do that either. Now, the fourth problem in all of this is a lot of people would say, because there was a lot of decent people that, hang on a minute, Narinder, she's had cancer. Now, as far as I was concerned, for the past 7, 8, 9 months, we'd had a lot of misinformation given from the Buckingham Palace itself, from Karen's house themselves. Whether didn't she? Has she had this? What has she had? Is it the right photograph? Isn't the right photograph? Why isn't she back to work? Is she back at work? So, and then I'd just seen Sky News the week before saying it wasn't cancer, it was preventative. What am I supposed to know? So I'm not actually thinking of the cancer. I'm just thinking, she looks really aged. I know she used to smoke. I don't know if she still does, but she looks really old. What I should have said was, on reflection, her makeup's really shit, because it was. That's what made her look terrible. Her makeup looked flipping, heavy, terrible, and she's probably tired from being in the Albert Hall. But the abuse I got, worldwide, by the way, worldwide, this went worldwide, right? I thought, wow, if that had been a white woman that said it, she wouldn't have got this much abuse, death threats, rape threats, everything. It's only because I was accused of being Harry and Meghan. I was getting paid by them. Are they daft? I would love if Prince Harry was phoning me every night, paying me and talking to me about what we can say today. It's madness what people were coming to. And then the fifth thing, I know I've ranted there, but I've been dying to get it all off my chest, is that actually there was a lot. I had a oncologist doctor who had tweeted that day, but I'd come off social media, saying, before you go to Narinder, my brother had cancer and he died of cancer, so I would never say anything about people with cancer. My brother didn't age with chemo. He had chemo all the way through. In fact, we used to joke he'd got younger. And he said to me, the oncologist, because I did tweet this, but men age differently with chemo as opposed to women. Now, all these people who came at me, why would I know about the effects of chemo? Why would I know that? Why would I know it can age a woman? I don't know that. That's news to me. I don't know that. But so cut me some slack.
Yeah, but you've got to remember once something starts to snowball, nobody wants to listen to you. Because I remember we talked about it at the time, and I said it's best not to respond to any of it, because as soon as you start to defend yourself, that's when the snowball starts to roll. And I think you went on Jeremy Vine, didn't you, where he basically, I don't know if you apologised for what you'd said, but you said... A
lot of people couldn't really understand if it was an apology, and I think that's what the team said to me afterwards, that it wasn't really an apology. But I tell you that...
No, but you shouldn't have to apologise.
I know, and this isn't this. So even on Twitter, I put out an apology video, but it wasn't an apology video. Actually, no, I put out an apology tweet first, and you're saying it's best not to respond. Now, normally the phone's in my hand, and I'm always on Twitter.
Yeah.
This was the first day of my life. My son was back from uni. I put my phone away, and we watched movies. We cooked together, and I didn't look at my phone for 6 hours, and I couldn't believe what had unleashed, the terror that had been unleashed. And I thought, what the actual... So I immediately apologised. I regretted that immediately, because you know why? An apology is an admission of guilt, and I didn't mean about her chemo or cancer. I just meant because she smoked. And in fact, the tweet's got it. It says, is she a smoker? ? What? I didn't talk about chemo. So why am I being blamed? What do I have to apologise for?
The thing is, though, you've noticed, and I think a lot of people have noticed, is the way the press are playing Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton off against each other. And the point is to demonise Meghan for whatever reason. There's probably multiple reasons, racism being one of them. And to say to Kate, because Kate Middleton, she's pretty milquetoast. She doesn't stand out in any particular way, really. She looks good. She's a very attractive woman.
I've always said she looks good. That's the other thing. I've often said she looks good.
She doesn't. But I think Kate is being protected by. It works for her then, because you know what's happened with Harry and the whole controversy with his book and all that business. I think there's some family feud going on there. So we know people who work in the media they're working for the royal family, basically, aren't they? And it's just really sad.
Absolutely. I do think, I mean, obviously Kate Middleton is protected. And I
And
remember putting out a tweet in the summer saying, well, she hasn't worked and why is she being lazy? I got a lot of support then. So I was very shocked by the lack of, not support, but the abuse. But I just think that the difference between Kate and Meghan is well, actually, Meghan Markle just happens to be biracial. And they
yeah.
can't stand that a biracial woman said that basically the royal family's racist.
Well,
They just didn't want that heard.
Systemically and institutionally, the royal family are racist. There's no getting away from
Absolutely.
that. You know what I mean?
And she didn't
It
say
doesn't.
anything that isn't like fact. It's
It
like she's
doesn't.
only just well, she didn't actually, by the way, she didn't, just for clarification, she's never said the royal family are racist. They've
But
never actually said that.
yeah, but the press love anything like that, don't they? Because not only can they demonise you, you can demonise Meghan Markle, and then they can make
Yeah.
Princess Kate look amazing, and like, oh, look at this.
And this is what I couldn't understand. Like, you've just said it in one sentence, and I can't understand why nobody else could see.
Yeah.
Well, they attack Meghan Markle because she's Irish, and they're attacking Narinder because she's brown. Why can nobody see this?
But controversially, see, if I'd had the media platform you had, I'd have got in so much worse shit, because I was saying this cancer thing. They're using that for publicity. And the reason I was saying, I'm not saying they didn't have it. I'm not saying that Prince Charles didn't have prostate cancer. What I'm saying is, in the past, the royals would never have talked about anything like that. And it brings, they know they can generate public sympathy. Now if you'd have said that, you'd have been banned from everything.
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely.
But that's true. And
I'll tell you something, they've managed to silence me, because there's been so much I've wanted to say about William, Kate, everything. And I'm actually genuinely too scared. Well, and it's a bit like the trans. Ever since I got the whole Terf abuse, I've been so scared to stick up for trans. I mean, I have still a little, but not as much as I normally would have.
Yeah. Well, this is what brings me back now to. I'm going to wrap it up soon, I promise you. But I was so we were talking about how they protect Kate Middleton. They do the same with J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling represents, because she was a children's writer many moons ago, and she represents something wholesome. She's a billionaire. She owns bits of the media. If J.K. Rowling wants an article in the Times, she just had to click her fingers, and one of her client journalists, whether that's Sonia Soda, whether that's oh God, what's the
Julie Sonia Soda? Oh, is she one of her? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, and Julie Bindle.
I have heard of her. Yes,
they're what I call Rowling's scribes. You know how kings used to have scribes to write.
Yes.
That's what they are basically.
What is? I mean, in your opinion, what is Rowling's bottom line? What scoop on the street? What is it she wants?
What does she want
from trans? What does she want from trans women? What is it? What is the thing?
I think she has a obviously it's a deeply entrenched transphobia, and it's kind of a pathology. It's like something in the brain that can't accept, and usually it's within people that are already gender questioning, because you find that when people come out as trans, they'll sometimes admit, I actually went through a phase of saying trans doesn't exist, and and they distance themselves from that kind of thing, and I think it's What is J.K. Rowling's? I call it a luxury vexation, because it is. It's a kind of problem she has with people from a very privileged position she doesn't need to have, but it's useful to other people, because people that are hateful and prejudiced can feel justified, and they can feel like their prejudice is meaningful, because somebody like
kind of been cemented, because actually if she's saying it, then it's okay.
I couldn't tell you why or how it started with J.K. Rowling, why she's this bothered. But once you've gone down that road, and it becomes, and obviously because of the culture war element,
like your kind. Yeah,
it's a mission, and it's
her literal mission in life now. She's made it her kind of, and the irony, this is a badge of honor, her fight in life.
And the irony of it all is that no women are helped by this, because it's Donald Trump's policy, it's Elon Musk's thing, it's something that
such a good point.
Misogynists love it, and not a single woman, not a single disenfranchised or a vulnerable woman who is struggling is going to be helped by anything J.K. Rowling says, because when I meet people in the
she could have used her voice for so much more to help women, like everything she says and tweets. You're right, actually, you've hit nail on the head. it's not helped me, Freda. I don't know how what you've
No.
said has ever helped my life
It
as a
only
woman.
it only
It's not helped
benefits
me.
it only benefits people that already have that prejudice who want, because it's politically useful as well. It's got political capital, because if you can scare some people into thinking somebody's turning your kids trans, it's like the abortion debate. It's like if you can scare some
Yeah.
people into thinking that oh, there's this force out there that's trying to change society and
Well,
destroy
actually,
things.
that's a really good point you've made, because what I've noticed is it's the parents, and especially on Facebook, because I think you always get a good idea of what society is thinking on Facebook, right? And I've noticed it's the parents with young kids who are just starting school or in the first 2 years who are so trans anti everything. They actually don't hate them, but they just don't want their kids turned.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to turn my kids.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that actually you're right, because I think,
Yeah.
hang on, why are they like? And then I'm thinking, hang on, if my kids, then I've got to be balanced and realistic and think, if my boy and girl was just starting school, would I have that same fear actually?
Yeah.
And you have to think about that.
The thing is, though, it works in two ways, because of the way social media is now and clickbait and all that. People respond more to things that make them angry, so the algorithm does prefer to wind people up rather than educate them. So it'll show them pictures of pride. It'll show them pictures of drag queens and all the things.
That's it. That's what they're seeing.
And it's not that there's anything wrong with drag queens. It's just these people would never have normally looked at that, so they're suddenly expected to have an opinion on it. It's like when Jeremy Vine does a phone in and says, "What do you think about this?" Well, so people probably not thought about that before, but suddenly it's being presented as something they have to have an opinion on. You know? It's like, and I mean, I'm rambling on a bit now, but because I'm kind of numb to it now. I don't think there's a single thing anybody could say on the internet that would offend me.
that people say that to me. They say, "How do you put up with it?" Oh my God, and I think it's actually really tragic that my answer is always, "Oh, I'm numb to it. It doesn't. It's water off a duck's back," because it shouldn't be water off a duck's back, and I shouldn't be numb to vitriol hate. It should just be outrageous. I should feel sickened by it, and I'm not.
Well, you know, it's reached a point now where more sort of moderate people are starting to take notice, because there's been a story in the news this last couple of weeks about a doctor in Scotland, and the doctor was, the doctor's not accused of any wrongdoing, but there was a nurse in a tribunal that said that she didn't want this doctor to get changed in a changing space with her. There was no problem, there's no sexual harassment involved in this, but then it's been found that the nurse had been a prolonged and orchestrated, had a problem with the doctor for a while, and so, but it's being played as if like the doctor has done something wrong, but people are seeing through that. That's why I mentioned Dan Hodges, like somebody that writes for the Daily Mail, who probably would not have supported trans rights, has noticed how vexatious this whole thing is and damaging.
Yeah. Wow.
So that, I mean,
wow.
The louder they get, the sort of more ridiculous they sound, because just people like me are just... I mean, I'm unusual. I'm quite loud, and I want to get in the media and talk about these things. Most trans women just want to get on with their lives and not be bothered by anything.
Yeah, but they need... But and that's fine as well. But we need your voice too. Well, especially when I've heard you on LBC and stuff, we need that reasonable voice. We need that, whether it's unreasonable in some people's opinion, but we need that voice, because what are we as a society and what are we as a democracy if people like yourself are being shut out?
Yeah, and also a lot of trans women will say I'm not a moderate. They think I'm quite extreme sometimes because I am loud.
Well, fine, and that's fine, because that's what my indie community think of me. They'll say, well, actually, she doesn't speak for us. It's a bit too much. And so I understand what you mean by that.
It's hard, isn't it? Because you don't represent a community, because not everybody agrees with you. But when you go on a show like Jeremy Vine, you do kind of...
They see it as that.
Yeah, you correct. Do kind of represent.
And somebody said that. They said, look, just be aware, because whether you think you are or not, and I always say, well, I'm representing me. They'll say, but inadvertently, you are representing the Sikh community. And actually, that hit home, because I thought, well, then maybe I need to moderate myself all the time. No. But then I'm kind of silencing myself.
Well, I mean, it's been amazing to talk to you because I've been trying to do this and organise with you. We've been talking on WhatsApp for ages, haven't we? And we share.
I'm glad we did this.
And you send me stuff and say, "Oh my God, what does this mean?" It's like you know when you're
I
going.
know, but you always help me. You educate me on some of it because before I put a tweet out there, because otherwise I get it wrong. You'll always be like, "Well, actually," and you put such a good angle on that I've never thought of, especially actually with Rolling when she starts going on about Afghan women, and you used that word. What was it? Where you said it's
I can't remember now.
Imposter syndrome, something I remember. I thought, oh, that makes sense.
No, I mean, I can't remember the words I used exactly, but with the Afghanistan thing, what she's doing is it's something remote that she can opine on from a perspective that she's never really going to experience in real life, where she wouldn't have the same opinion about, a problem of immigrant Afghan women here who are trying to access services because that doesn't not even on her radar.
Exactly. It was something you said. It was you put a sentence to it. And it was brilliant. I can't remember what it was.
It's probably something to do with the luxury vexations, and it's a very post-colonial attitude towards the world, where you look at the world and you think that's a distant from me. So, but I can use that as for moral kind of moral narrative that makes me look good, but I'm not actually doing anything.
She isn't doing anything. She isn't doing anything.
I think she does fun things. I mean, she sends a lot of checks around the world. But anybody, if I was a billionaire, I could just throw money at things. Oh
yeah, I wish I was a billionaire.
Well,
right, all right then. I best get going.
Well, I thank you for doing it. I'm just going to wrap up.
Thank you so much.